Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and this trainer just hit Legend in the Open Great League with an extremely unexpected Pokemon, ARMAROUGE. ARMAROUGE is a Fire and Psychic type Pokemon with the moveset of Incinerate, Flame Charge, and Psyshock, so it was a really big beneficiary of the big Psyshock rework that occurred at the start of this past season. Now this trainer is pairing it up with Golisopod and Shadow Jumpluff, so they are running a team triple weak to Shadow Drapion. I don't recommend running triple weak to Drapion, but this trainer was able to make it work. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and take a look at ARMAROUGE in the Great League. Dream lead in game number 1, ARMAROUGE into Shadow Jumpluff, but there is the Shadow Drapion, and it goes from an incredible lead to a really tough spot for this battler. Crunch is going to land. I really like the decision here to actually stay in with the ARMAROUGE and land an Incinerate, because Incinerate will actually potentially put it in a range where you can Shadow Claw down after landing the Aqua Jet. But this trainer is not playing for Switch advantage. Instead, they're going to give up Switch, and now can potentially go for either a farm down on either the ARMAROUGE or the Shadow Jumpluff. They pick Jumpluff looking for the Fairy Wind down, but the Shadow Drapion just too bulky, barely able to withstand the damage here, make the Crunch, and that does remove a lot of health from the Jumpluff. Opponent going to bring in their own Jumpluff. We are going to see an Aerial Ace bait. These are both Shadow, but the opponent is going to no shield. In the back is going to be Morpeko. ARMAROUGE at an energy advantage, makes the Flame Charge first, getting to ramp up its damage. Morpeko firing off energy. Oh my goodness, ARMAROUGE calls the bait. It's the Psychic Fangs. No one loves to bait more in the 2-shield than Morpeko, and calling that bait completely flips this game on its head, as now ARMAROUGE will get to fully farm down and just completely sweep. In comes the Jumpluff. Jumpluff going to be met with a boosted Psyshock. That's going to get the shield. ARMAROUGE now 1 off the Flame Charge, and this Flame Charge is going to be good night for this Jumpluff. What a game. Shadow Drapion triple strong into the team, but ARMAROUGE gets the reverse sweep to clutch the game 1 win. Moving into the next match, ARMAROUGE staring down Shadow Malamar. Now, ARMAROUGE obviously does have the Psy Wave resistance, but it is going to get outpaced in this matchup and will always have to respect the foul play because ARMAROUGE is very, very glassy. But these Incinerates are shredding through the Shadow Malamar. So we will see the Flame Charge launched at the Malamar. Malamar is going to commit the shield, and if you're ARMAROUGE, it looks like you can double shield and just farm down and exit boosted. Opponent is going to send out Diggersby, and now let's see what a boosted Psyshock can do to Diggersby. Psyshock is going to land. That does quite a bit of damage. Psyshock number 2 is reached as well, and this ARMAROUGE putting on a show. It grabs the final shield, and now Diggersby's energy is basically going to be useless against Golisopod. Golisopod more than happy to absorb fire punches here from the Diggersby, just going straight for the Aqua Jet, looking to pick up the knockout, and Diggersby does not survive. In the back is Tinkaton, and this game is over. Tinkaton does have a winning matchup into Shadow Jumpluff, but it's going to lose way too much health from the Golisopod Aqua Jet. And seeing the Malamar Tinkaton team struggle against ARMAROUGE, I think we're beginning to see why they ran this Pokemon. It feels weird that you're bringing a Psychic type to beat the Dark Psychic type, but if ARMAROUGE has 2 shields, it's able to farm through that Shadow Malamar, and then Tinkaton's gonna have a pretty bad day as well. That was an incredibly diabolical catch there. Opponent tries for a catch of their own, they do not get it, and they will concede the match. Moving to the next match, absolute nightmare lead as ARMAROUGE stares down Carbink. The safe switch into Golisopod. Golisopod going to be answered with Superior, and this is really not good because the Golisopod is basically the only way this team has to hit that Carbink for super effective damage. So you would really hope the opponent would end up staying in, but unfortunately they did not. And it looks like we are going to see a double shield from the Golisopod, recognizing that without the Golisopod there isn't a way to beat this Carbink. You really have to hope they send back in the Carbink, and they do, so that is a little bit of good luck here. The fact that the opponent did send back in the Carbink, but they're going to be shielding up that Carbink. That is unfortunate. If Golisopod can make a 3rd Aqua Jet though, that would be very, very helpful. Aqua Jet's going to land. We see an aggressive switch into the ARMAROUGE. ARMAROUGE is going to make it to a Psyshock, and Psyshock, while not lethal, will chip away at the health of this Carbink. Carbink throws 1 in the move. They do not want that Incinerate to register. The Carbink is now very low, and for some reason they're running Rock Slide. Power Gem typically going to be the preferred moveset there, and now in comes Jumpluff. Jumpluff going to be hit with another Rock Slide. This is super effective damage, but the Fairy Winds are adding up. In the back is Shadow Annihilate, and this game might actually be winnable. Aerial Ace is going to be shielded by the Shadow Annihilate. Jumpluff able to outpace, getting to another move. This Aerial Ace will not knock out, but it will do big damage. There's the switch into Golisopod. Golisopod barely hanging on through that counter damage to pick up the KO. But now it's going to be a race. The carbink is very low. The Jumpluff, will it get farmed down? It will not. It farms down the carbink, and the team that's triple weak to rock actually defeated carbink. But the bad leads continue, leading into a Claydol. The safe switch into Golisopod is going to be answered with more Peko. Now next season, this matchup will be way better for Golisopod, as Golisopod will obviously be running Fury Cutter instead of Shadow Claw, and Fury Cutter will add up. Here the opponent goes for a terrible bait, and that's going to cost them in a massive way, as now they're forced to throw two moves. They could have just gone for the Aura Wheel and ramped up. Now in comes the ARMAROUGE. ARMAROUGE is going to look for a one shield farm down, as it absolutely has to respect the electric type Aura Wheel. There is the Aura Wheel, more Peko very low, getting sniped down with the Jumpluff. Jumpluff now at a slight energy advantage, and it's going to need it as Claydol hits the field. Claydol obviously can hit for single or double super effective damage with Rock Tomb or Ice Beam. Acrobatics is going to land. The fact that they're no shielding does make me feel that it's more likely they're going to go for the Ice Beam. We see the no shield. There is the Ice Beam right on cue, and in comes Blastoise. Unfortunately, ARMAROUGE just doesn't have anywhere to go in this endgame, but it does have energy. ARMAROUGE going for a Flame Charge bait. This might be the win con if the opponent shields the Flame Charge, and they do! Hold on. Can ARMAROUGE sweep? The opponent now going to be hit with a Psyshock. This is a boosted Psyshock. It's going to KO. In comes the Claydol, and ARMAROUGE takes it. No shot. ARMAROUGE into a Claydol Blastoise core. Just swept both thanks to a risky Flame Charge bait, and that is a good game. The tough leads continue for ARMAROUGE, now staring down on Azumarill, banking a Psyshock for later and sending out the Golisopod. Golisopod more than happy to absorb the play rough here from the Azumarill. Azumarill is going to look to stay in this matchup, as Azumarill is one of the few mons that completely walls off Golisopod's charge attacks. Aqua Jet is going to connect, never going to do a ton of damage, but for Golisopod the goal is trying to soft lose it, get this Azumarill low, and then hopefully once the Azumarill is out of the way, ARMAROUGE with a 40 energy head start and 2 shields to hide behind can do quite well. Here the opponent is going to go for an Ice Beam, a misplay from the opponent, maybe anticipating a shield, but the Aqua Jet is going to land, and now the Azumarill is a lot lower than it typically would be. In comes the ARMAROUGE. ARMAROUGE going to resist either charge attack here. It is going to be the play rough, and ARMAROUGE is going to get the farm down. ARMAROUGE has 80 energy. In comes Credilli, and if Credilli is their best response, then they don't have a good response to ARMAROUGE, because Credilli has no way of farming this down. They're stuck on resisted Bullet Seed. This is now going to be a boosted Psyshock, and Credilli is forced to commit the shield. Credilli will obviously be applying debuffs with Rock Tomb. Each shielded Rock Tomb does 1 hit point of damage as well. ARMAROUGE not going to boost up, instead opting for the cheaper pacing of Psyshock. Psyshock is going to pick up the KO in the back. Oh, that's not what you're hoping to see. It's Clodsire. I think the opponent may have potentially been better off just sending in the Clodsire into the ARMAROUGE, because while Psyshock does hit for super effective damage, I imagine you can probably tank 2, just because Clodsire is incredibly bulky. Granted, I could be mistaken in that assumption. I haven't run a lot of Great League ARMAROUGE, so I'm not 100% confident on those damage ranges. Here we will see Jumpluff committing a shield to get to the Acrobatics. Acrobatics is going to be shielded. There's the switch into the ARMAROUGE. That was not damage registration error. That is a 1 HP survive. ARMAROUGE KOing Clodsire with the Psyshock. And this team keeps pulling off miraculous wins. And it's gonna need a miracle in this next game. ARMAROUGE staring down Shadow Drapion. Shadow Drapion is now gonna be, oh my goodness, met with a no shield. If it's a crunch, ARMAROUGE is just gone. Even an Aqua Tail bait still almost one-shots. That's why this Pokemon is not normally recommended as a Pokemon for climbing. It is just so incredibly frail, my goodness. And now what do you bring in here? They're going to send in the Jumpluff, but it's not like Jumpluff is going to want to take Shadow Crunches. Shadow Crunch does a ton of damage. Crunch is going to land, and there's another move immediately followed up by that Drapion. Drapion going to get big damage, a debuff. Now they're going to switch into Jumpluff. Their Jumpluff is super behind on energy here, so Acrobatics is going to be shielded, and another one will be reached, but it's not going to threaten a knockout. They're the regular Jumpluff, so they will be able to tank this Acrobatics pretty comfortably. The opponent is going to have to throw, but Golisopod's going to have to 1v3 in this endgame, and that's a pretty tall task to ask. In comes the Golisopod. Unfortunately, Jumpluff, due to the residual energy on Acrobatics, is able to outpace getting to the Aerial Ace. We see, oh my goodness, the Aqua Jet anticipating a catch, and there was a catch onto Annihilate. That Aqua Jet was undercharged because this battler's realizing they're going to need a lot of energy here to win this game, and that energy will come from a farm down. And it looks like that undercharge was basically perfect, as now they leave with 2 moves. What a play. In comes the Jumpluff. Jumpluff going to get knocked out with the X-Scissor. There's the Aqua Jet loaded for the Drapion, and I don't know how they keep doing this, man. These teams feel like they are just the worst case scenario, and it just does not matter as they keep ending in wins. ARMAROUGE sees its first semi-okay lead in quite some time, but obviously it's still a lead where it's going to have to go down shields because Shadow Primeape is incredibly scary. Shadow Primeape going to be met with the Psyshock. I think there's an argument to be made for going Flame Charge here, but I guess our battler realizes they're going to have to double shield anyway, and if they Psyshock, then they can exit not boosted, but with 1 extra Incinerate. So they will exit with a little bit of extra energy. Opponent now going to send out a Azumarill, banking the double Psyshock. There's going to be the switch into the Golisopod, and that ends up being an incredible swap as it baits out Clodsire. Clodsire would have been a huge issue for that Shadow Jumpluff in the back, so baiting it out is incredibly good. Even if it's a Stone Edge, it will not knock out, but basically everyone is running Sludge Bomb nowadays anyway, so Sludge Bomb not going to be too much of an issue. Aqua Jet just cleanly picks up the KO. Opponent going to save their final shield for the Azumarill, but I think this Azumarill is in quite a bit of trouble. There's 2 Psyshocks loaded on this ARMAROUGE, and there's going to be the switch, and there's still an entire Shadow Jumpluff. Psyshock is going to be shielded. There's Psyshock number 2, not wanting to throw on proper timing because the opponent could just go for 1 in the move, just needing to guarantee that damage. Azumarill is forced to throw. Another Psyshock would have been reached. ARMAROUGE putting in the work. In comes Golisopod. Opponent gonna throw again as they realize they cannot bubble down, and now Shadow Jumpluff can just completely clean up this game. In comes the Shadow Jumpluff. Even an Aerial Ace will be enough. The opponent knows an Ice Beam does not KO from full health, so they will resign the match. Great lead in the next match. Staring down a Tinkaton. Opponent gonna save switch into Shadow Lapras, but this is not a response to an ARMAROUGE. ARMAROUGE with shields to hide behind is going to absolutely crush this Lapras. Lapras is going to be firing off the Sparkling Aria, and ARMAROUGE, it looks like, can potentially go for a 1 shield farm down here, and that's exactly what it's going to do. Shadow Lapras is going to get farmed down before it gets to that second Sparkling Aria, and now in comes a Shadow Feraligatr. For Alligator, these Shadow Claws are hitting for super effective damage, but ARMAROUGE is just so far ahead. The back-to-back Psyshocks loaded. Somehow a double water team is getting absolutely destroyed by ARMAROUGE. In comes the Golisopod save switch. Golisopod always fine to no shield as everything will be resisted. There's the switch to Tinkaton. Opponent may be hoping to catch an undertapped X-Scissor, but it's not to be, as that will be the Aqua Jet. And now there's just an extremely straightforward path to victory with the Shadow Jumpluff. A Shadow Jumpluff will be able to probably even just fairy win down the Tinkaton and then win the game very comfortably, as the Feraligatr is really not going to be able to do much with a shield up. Oh, actually going to send in the ARMAROUGE here to absorb energy. I think the better play was still just sending in the Jumpluff to get up energy, but either way, the Feraligatr not going to be able to do much of anything with Jumpluff still having the shield advantage. So Jumpluff gets to burn the shield here. That's going to be the Hail Mary Ice Beam, and the opponent will resign the match. Hopping into the final match, ARMAROUGE into Pidgeot. This is a non-Shadow Pidgeot, which is a bit of a rare sight. Pidgeot is going to strike first in this matchup, firing off the Air Cutter. Air Cutter obviously with a chance to boost up its attack. ARMAROUGE going to go for the Psyshock. So ARMAROUGE just looking to lock in some damage here rather than going for an attack boost. And it looks like the Psyshock would potentially be enough to just knock out from this health range. ARMAROUGE is going to go for the double shield, and ARMAROUGE can now double up on Psyshocks and guarantee that it will win this matchup. If the opponent knows Psyshock counts, they're going to let it go, but they do not. They end up shielding the Pidgeot, and now they exit with no advantage. They don't have shield advantage, they don't have switch advantage, and that's really unfortunate for the opponent. In comes Shadow Annihilate, that's going to be answered with the Shadow Jumpluff, and Jumpluff is just going to be firing off the Aerial Ace. Having to go for the Aerial Ace here in case they have the Ice Punch. There's a switch to Golisopod. In the back is going to be Diggersby, and the opponent is just completely core broken by the Golisopod once that Pidgeot is out of the way. Aqua Jet is going to do very nice damage onto Diggersby, and Diggersby is just going to fire off Fire Punch after Fire Punch, but unfortunately for Diggersby, it just never does enough damage to put it in a position to win this game. The Aqua Jets get Diggersby into Shadow Claw farm down range. Diggersby will get to fire off another Fire Punch, and Golisopod can Shadow Claw down, so the opponent will resign the match. Big congratulations to this trainer for hitting Legend with a Pokemon that I never would have considered on a climbing team. And granted, I do think that they played very, very well in these battles. ARMAROUGE has an ability to be a bit of an interesting core breaker, but it has quite a few deficiencies. Due to its typing, it takes a lot of super effective damage from many of the top meta mons. I think having a Psywave resist does provide it some advantages, like against the Shadow Malamar Tinkaton core, where as long as it is 2 shields up, it can actually be an extreme nuisance to that core. And that's the same core that I used to hit 3500 ELO. That's a core that is very difficult to break. So I think it's a really innovative idea, this trainer thinking outside the box. Do I recommend that everyone run out and build an ARMAROUGE and it will immediately gain ELO? I don't think that's necessarily the case, just because it's going to be a very difficult Pokemon to use with how frail it is. But this trainer, what I want to highlight was their brilliant play. Not only did they think outside the box when it came to building a team that they used to hit Legend, but they played brilliantly. They led a team triple weak to rock into a carbink and won. They beat a Blastoise Claydol core with not even their backline, just purely with the ARMAROUGE. So massive props to this trainer. They played absolutely brilliantly, and these were some incredibly entertaining sets. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.